Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we're honored to be here with a good friend, Sister Maureen Griner. She's the executive director of the Dorothy Day House. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Jeremy. Thanks so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. You do tremendous good when you talk about taking care of families in our community who are experiencing homelessness. And so we'll talk about all of that. But let's start with a little bit of the history. Give us some history for Dorothy Day House.
Sure. The Dorothy Day House actually began in 2003 when a group of people wanted to learn about Dorothy Day. And anyone who's ever read much about Dorothy Day knows that once you hear her story, you just feel compelled to do something for the poor. So after that meeting, we talked about a number of possibilities. After talking to some people in the city working on homelessness, we realized that there was no shelter in the city at that time who would take husbands and wives and teenage boys or single fathers with children. So in 2004, we bought a house and opened the Dorothy Day House. We started with just one house in 2006. And we've gone straight ahead since then.
Let's go back to something you said that really does differentiate your efforts in terms of keeping families together. And so there are different shelters, but they make you split up. And so talk about the dynamic and why it's so important of keeping the family together.
Sure. First of all, there is now one other shelter that keeps families together. That's Room in the Inn. When you think about being homeless and the trauma that comes with being homeless, the thought of separating families makes that even worse. Husbands and wives don't want to be separated, and teenage boys are just terrified to be separated from their families. We really believe that that trauma can be lessened if we allow families to stay together. And so from the very beginning, we have accepted married couples and single fathers and especially teenage boys. And we've had a lot of teenage boys over the years. We've never really had a problem with any teenage boy. Most of the time, they're so concerned about their mother that they really, they don't get into trouble. I mean, they're teenage boys, but they don't get into any extra kinds of trouble. So we feel really strongly about keeping them together and helping them to help each other to make their way through homelessness.
One of the things that has always struck me is your stories of those who you serve. And we've had a chance to, over the years, go through and take many tours and see your actions firsthand, and it's absolutely impressive. And one of the stories that you tell is really a situational side. So in other words, families who are right on that verge, living paycheck to paycheck, and how any of us at any given time can really face homelessness. And so talk about the families you serve and what they're facing with, especially the situational homelessness.
Sure. Most people are surprised when they hear us say that we really serve ordinary families who've hit a bad spot in life. We're not involved in taking care of families that are involved with drug addictions or alcohol. We don't take women directly out of domestic violence. We really look for ordinary families who might have had a house fire. Maybe they had a car wreck that caused them to lose their job. Maybe the employer simply did away with some jobs. It can be just a whole variety of circumstances. We had a family not long ago who had 3 children who were really seriously ill. They had a house fire. They were lost without anything. So we think those families who have those kinds of circumstances need to be cared for. And by the way, they say that 50% of Americans now are living paycheck to paycheck. So many, many people are closer to homelessness than we'd like to think about.
You mentioned a home. It is a home. And in fact, you've grown over the years. And so talk about kind of where you are now and And kind of elaborate on the home, because it's an actual home.
Sure, it is. First of all, we started in May of 2006 with one home, 1429 Poplar. And, you know, we studied Dorothy Day a lot before we began. And Dorothy Day's approach to poverty and to homelessness really was a down-to-earth approach. She really believed that people should take care of people. When you read Dorothy Day's writings, you know that she was never talking about institutions. She was talking about home. And so even in our first home, we really try to create a home atmosphere. So these families feel like they're living with friends, not in an institution. They do their own cooking, their own cleaning, their own childcare, their own laundry. We do not live here 24 hours a day. They're on their own in the evenings and over weekends. And if we really do it right, I think the children, the little ones especially, will never know that they're in a shelter. That they just think they're living with friends, that's fine with us. That's really what we want. So we started with that in 2006 with our first house. In 2018, we opened a house at 1178 Peabody, which is built on the same model. That house has 3 family bedrooms, and they share the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, the playroom, the laundry facilities, and all of that. And then in 2020, right before the pandemic began, we opened the house at 1161 Peabody. And again, it's built on the same model. 3 families are there, and they share the rest. They have their own bedrooms, and then they share the rest of the house with each other.
Talk about how the families find you. So kind of that network, and then also to the wraparound support services that in many cases volunteers play a vital role in.
That's right, they do. People find us a zillion different ways. We get probably 30 phone calls a week, people asking for help. We get calls from schools, from churches, from social service agencies, from the local hospitals, the sheriff's office, the mayor's office. MIFA actually calls us if they think we might be able to help a family that's come to them. A lot of people these days are just Googling family shelter in Memphis, and we seem to come up first. So the numbers are just growing, just by leaps and bounds. While they're with us, we do provide really everything they need. Most homeless families, by the time they get to us, hardly have pocket change. They really are pretty much at the bottom. And a lot of them have been living in very unsafe circumstances, especially families who have teenage boys. If they don't think they can find someplace to go, they'll live in their car, or they'll live in an uninhabitable apartment that's not really theirs. Many times people are coming from extended stay motels where they have enough money to pay for a motel. They don't have enough money for an apartment or for utilities or for the other expenses that come with being in your own apartment. So the number of calls we're getting is it's painful, because we can't serve that many people. We would love to, but we're just not able to. Volunteers, yes, we have a lot of volunteers. The year before the pandemic, we had about 1,000 volunteers that year. And I think we're very, very close to 500 already this year. So we have volunteers do all kinds of stuff, everything from cleaning to lawn work to, we recently had an immigration lawyer who offered his services. We have tutors, we have transportation people, we have people who help with childcare, just about anything that you might need a helper for, we have plenty of helpers. It's really very important for us, and people can get involved by just going to our website, which is Dorothy Day Memphis, and they can sign up to be a volunteer there. Also, our volunteer opportunities are child friendly. We're happy for you to bring your children, Now, you can't bring your children and drop them off, but as long as you're with them to supervise what they're doing, we're more than happy to have children here. And it's fun to have children because sometimes they can play with the children in the house, and that helps our children as well.
Absolutely. Carry that forward into in-kind donations, because as you think about a house, toiletries, cleaning supplies, all of those things are an easy way to get involved as well.
That's right. There's no way that we could purchase all the items that we need. At the moment, we have 8 families. We're dealing with 8 families at a time. And I mean, when you think about what it takes to run your family and how much laundry detergent you use and how much toothpaste you use and how much bath soap you use, there is just no way that we could afford to buy all those toiletries. The same thing with paper towels and toilet paper and clothing for families. It's just impossible. So we rely a lot on people who give us in-kind donations. Every Wednesday on Facebook, we post a Wednesday wish list, which is a short list of the things that we're most in need of at the moment. But people give us all kinds of stuff. I always say, whatever you need in your house, we need in our house times 8. So it pretty much runs the gamut. The Notre Dame Club just recently gave us 300 pairs of underwear for the children. So it's just, we just need a lot of stuff. In addition, when families move out of our house, once they have a job and they have a stable form of transportation and they have enough money to support themselves, then we furnish their house or their apartment free of charge. So that means we go through a lot of furniture. We rehoused 17 families last year. So when you think of mattresses for 17 families and couches and microwaves and dishes, even small things, we need a lot of items. We do give them used things occasionally, especially furniture. We like to have some new stuff too, so that when they move into their new house, they really have some nice things.
You also have events, and so talk about the upcoming Dinner with Dorothy event.
We do. We have Dinner with Dorothy coming up September 9th and 10th. First of all, many people have said to us, why don't you just have a big gala and raise $200,000 in one night? I have an aversion to that thought because that's not who Dorothy Day was. Dorothy Day was an activist in the Depression who really gave her life to the poor. And she lived with the poor. She was poor herself and encouraged others to be the same. So the thought of a gala with fancy clothes and expensive meals is something that just doesn't seem to fit with us. So last year we began Dinner with Dorothy. It's going to be this year, September 9th and 10th. It is simply a take-home meal that you can serve to your own family, or if you like, you can gather friends and relatives and have a bigger gathering. The meal this year is going to consist of lasagna from Coletta's, lasagna and salad, and then bread and dessert from Lucy J's Bakery. Those tickets can be purchased on our website. A medium meal is, will feed 4 to 6 and is $90. And then the larger meal is $150, and that feeds 8 to 10. So it's already, you just have to reheat that lasagna in order to enjoy Coletta's great food. So we're really excited about that. Those meals will be picked up at Coletta's on the 9th and 10th, and you can find all that information on our website. In addition, people who are out of town can buy a ticket for $35. They will get a box of cookies from Lucy J's, and then everyone who buys a ticket will get the link for an audiovisual thing that we're making to it. It includes some stories of our families, as well as information about the 7 new initiatives that we're launching this year.
I love it.
Great.
Share, when you talk about, kind of the lessons you've learned over the years, treating others with dignity, give us maybe 1 or 2 lessons that you've learned throughout your career that you think can help people be more impactful with their efforts serving others.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think most people don't give much attention to homeless families because they don't see them. We're all accustomed to seeing men on the corners with signs, or women on the corner with signs asking for money or food. But what we don't see are homeless families, and that's because they hide. They know that if they're found with their children on the street, or discovered in an abandoned house, or caught living in their car, those children will be taken away from them. So, although I think most Memphians want to do something about homelessness, it doesn't dawn on them that there are every night at least 130 homeless families that are living in shelters and uninhabitable places. So really one of our missions is to raise awareness about the number of homeless families who need our help. Lessons I've learned, I think, I guess maybe the biggest one is that homeless families come in all shapes and sizes. We've had people here, parents who have master's degrees. We have people who never completed high school. We have people who have gone through the foster care system and really have never experienced family life. And because of that, haven't learned just the basic skills sometimes that go with family life. I mean, you and I don't even realize what we picked up from our parents, kind of just on the side, We've had mothers here who were so young and who had such dysfunctional family life, they didn't know how to take care of a brand new baby. So homeless families really come in all sizes and shapes. And I really think, it's a privilege to be dealing with them and to help them get back on their feet again. They need us, but I think in many ways we need them too, because they teach us about compassion. They teach us about patience and about long suffering and all of those qualities that we need as well.
And unconditional love. I think that's a piece of this as
Right.
well. So
Right.
Wrap up with website again. You mentioned it before, but go ahead and mention again, where can we go to learn more and to get involved with Dorothy Day House?
Sure. Our website is Dorothy Day Memphis. And we love to have people sign up for our newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out. We have social media. We're all over social media. So just check out Dorothy Day Memphis. You'll find it. And you can always call us. The number is 726-6760.
Well, Sister Maureen, greatly appreciate all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. We appreciate your help.